Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Angela and this is the Angie Culture, where we discuss all things self-improvement, personal development, and reaching your ideal potential. If this is something you're interested in, do stick around. Today's video is on how to reinvent yourself. By reinvention, what do I mean? Essentially replacing toxic, bad behaviors with good, life-changing ones, with the kind of habits that can see you to becoming that ideal person you want to become. We see very successful people, Kamala Harris, Oprah Winfrey, and the likes, and think, wow, I'd like to be that kind of person someday. I'd like to fit into her shoes someday. But to be able to occupy certain positions, it takes you being a certain kind of person. So look into yourself and think that, am I the kind of person that can occupy this position? If called to occupy it out of the blue, would I be able to perform? These are some of the reasons that give rise to people wanting to do a thorough reevaluation, reinvention of themselves. That being said, one of the very first things to consider, as a matter of fact, even before I go into that, ideally, I would want you to approach this video as a step-by-step guide, as an action plan towards actually reinventing yourself. So grab yourself a notepad and a pen because you're going to have to write. The first step in this reinvention process is self-awareness. Self-awareness is important because, like the first example I just gave, you want to become this kind of person. You want to become a person that earns, for instance, $5,000 a week. But to reach that kind of stage where your business or your service you're providing is reeling in that amount of money, you have to have certain behaviors, certain dispositions, certain habits, which once accrued over time enabled you reach this milestone. So the first thing you need to do is look into yourself. That is where the self-awareness comes in, and figure out the areas you fall short, essentially. You need to be self-aware of where you are lacking. And it's important to know this because you want to know how to address these areas that are lacking. Because it's your disposition, it's your behavior. These are things that you've been doing probably from childhood. These are things that you may not even be consciously privy to, things that you do inadvertently. However, if you are self-aware of these things, then you can start to correct them. Because you need to correct these habits to become that ideal person. That ideal person probably doesn't wake up at 12 noon every day. If you don't correct these habits and you just start to unload new habits into your being, into yourself, these old traits, being second nature to you, being your behavior, are going to seep through. And you can't combine sleeping in late, not having a sleeping schedule, with being somebody who is very efficient and productive and achieving. You can't combine those things together. You have to get rid of the toxic traits to be able to replace them with better ones. That is why the self-awareness step is very important. When you do this thorough self-awareness, write down your shortcomings very, very, very honestly, because the first step to correcting a problem is to admit you have that problem. Then you can start to work in it. So honestly write down your shortcomings, then work on addressing these shortcomings. It's very important that be your first step in reinventing yourself. So for example, I've written that, okay, my shortcoming is I lack focus, right? How am I going to address this lack of focus? What am I going to do henceforth to make sure that I'm either stopping this bad habit altogether or I am gradually improving it? There are some habits that it has to be a gradual change, and you can improve them through replacing them with something else, which I'll get more into as the video goes along. And there are habits that you can attempt to change abruptly, right? For example, if, let's say, you are in the habit of eating with your mouth open, it can be a gradual change and it can be an abrupt change. An abrupt change in the sense that anytime someone draws your attention to you, close your mouth and chew. That kind of thing, that's what I mean. Because don't think that petty things like poor mannerisms or poor etiquette aren't essential enough to change in being your ideal self. To be fair, it depends on the kind of person you are trying to become, right? But regardless, etiquette and mannerisms are important because it's all part of a brand you are building for yourself. So if you are building a certain kind of brand, trying to have a certain kind of aesthetic appeal to a certain kind of audience, you should know that certain habits would not fit in to this new persona. My point on that is that even petty things like that, at this self-awareness step, take note of those things, because you'll be surprised the number of times little things like, I didn't like his mannerisms, he didn't say please, he wasn't polite, can cost people opportunities. Things that are your natural behavior, for which reason you are doing them unconsciously, unbeknownst to you that it's affecting you in closed circles. Point number 2 is to replace those habits, those bad habits, with positive ones. That is the second step in this reinvention plan, this reinvention strategy. Look at it like a strategy to actually reinvent yourself. So you've written down self-awareness, you've written down your toxic traits, and you've written down a system through which you are going to change or stop, ultimately, these toxic traits, right? Now you have to replace those toxic traits with good ones. And these 2 points go hand in hand, because sometimes if you're trying to correct a bad habit, studies have shown that if you consciously write down what you are going to do in place of that bad habit, it helps. For example, let's say you're trying to lose weight and you go into a restaurant, and in ordering your food, or let's say there's just a plate, there's a buffet, for example, and cheesecake, burger, blah, 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 blah. I mean, junk food, essentially, on the table, right, spewed in front of you, the ultimate temptation for somebody on a weight loss journey, right? And as expected, you are very, very tempted to touch it because it's your natural inclination. But studies have shown that if prior to going to the event, you wrote down that if I feel the urge to eat junk food, I would drink some water instead, you are most likely to reach for the glass of water anytime you feel the urge to get junk food. Because like when both instances are placed before your brain knows that this is the more desired outcome. This is what you're going to do instead. It's just like when you've strategically planned your day and it's very serious and important to you that you stick to that plan, to that strategy. It's at the back of your mind. You've not even necessarily written it down, and you stick to that plan or that strategy. You remember that, okay, as soon as I finish writing this paper, I'm going to submit. As soon as I finish submitting it, I'm going to this. As soon as I this, I'm going to that. It's sort of the same logic. We've all been in situations where we are handling something important enough to the point where we don't even need to write down the step-by-step procedures on paper. We already know that as soon as I finish doing this, I'm going to do this. Let's say you have a deadline. As soon as I finish this, I'll do this. As soon as I finish this, and you actually manage to stick to it. It's the same phenomenon that is replayed in your mind when you intentionally write down what you do instead. So you can apply this in various scenarios, not just regarding food or eating or petty things. If you have the urge to give into that toxic trait and you rather use that urge for something better, essentially you are making the cue for that toxic trait a cue to do something better. Do you understand what I mean? Because all these urges come about through cues. So you are using that cue that is linked to that toxic trait instead to do something positive. So you get the cue all right? But instead of doing that bad thing the cue came about for, you are using that space to do something better. That is a way that you can turn negative habits around. You feel the urge to gossip? Okay, I'll go on my phone and watch a TED Talk instead. You feel the urge to eat junk food? Okay, anytime I feel the urge to eat junk food, I'll drink water instead. You feel the urge to play video game all day? Okay, anytime I feel the urge to play video game, I'll go on a jog. I'll go take a walk. That is what I mean. These are some of the ways that you can replace these bad habits. It's been said that habits form within a period of 81 days. So, eventually, with time, the cue that was initially meant to do that negative action is going to become a cue for this positive action. So that is how you replace the negative habits with positive ones. And it's actually been proven in a study conducted where students were asked to study for a test. Right? They were asked to pass the test, and they wanted to use so many different means to find out which would be more efficient in making sure the students actually did study. Was it motivational words of you can do it, you can do it, you can do anything you set your mind to, and what have you, so study and you pass? Or was it, you name it? So many different systems were used to test these students, and it came out that the students who actually wrote down what they would do anytime they felt the urge to procrastinate from studying, anytime they felt the urge to give into a negative desire instead of actually studying, received way better grades because they actually sat to studying. Essentially what they did is what I'm saying, that they converted the cue meant for the negative conduct and replace that negative conduct with a positive one. Because best believe that the cues that get you into doing the negative thing, imagine you're somebody that is in a habit of smoking, let's say vaping, and you're trying to change it. When it comes to vaping, you don't need anybody to come and tap you on the back to remind you to go and vape. There are subtle cues you don't realize that just bring the urge in you to vape. So imagine the number of times you vape in a day. You replace all your vaping sessions with, let's say, working out. You would have achieved the dream body in less than a month, right? And obviously in addition to diet and all that, in less than a month. You understand what I mean? So essentially in this study conducted, that is what the students did. Anytime they felt the urge to procrastinate, to lay in bed, to what, because they had already written down what they were going to do when the urge comes. When the urge came, the brain already knew what to do instead. The brain already gave precedence to the conduct that has been stipulated that will be done instead. I hope you understand my drift. You get what I mean? First of all, self-awareness. Be very self-aware and honest and write down the traits you want to correct. The traits that this new ideal you wouldn't have. Let's say you are currently Aliyah. The current you is Aliyah. And the new you are trying to become is Alexa. So write down the negative traits Aliyah has that you know Alexa would not possess. With those negative traits, replace them with the traits that Alexa will possess, the traits that made Alexa be the successful, beautiful, independent, wonderful woman she is. Replace them with it. Number 3, sift out the people or the things that can impede your reinvention journey. Because, mind you, when you were a gossip, as Aliyah the gossip, obviously you had friends you were gossiping with. But Alexa does not gossip. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Look at Alexa as your alter ego. Alexa does not gossip. Alexa does not have such friends that she gossips with. No. If the people impeding your journey are not people you can sift out of your life, like let's say your siblings, for example, right? You can't just cut out your siblings out of your life, then make it very clear that this is your new identity, this is your new personality, because these people are people that have known you from time. They've known you from childhood. They know you to be a certain way. They know you to be Aliyah the gossip. They don't know you to be Alexa the gorgeous, independent, smart woman, right? So they'll keep addressing you in such light and judging you such titles, but it would be up to you to know how to address that. So for the people, in addressing that, for the people you can sift out of your life, please, Aliyah, sift those people out of your life. And for the people you can't necessarily sift out of your life, make it clear to them. Practice with them. Make it clear that, no, you don't do that anymore. No, I'm not that kind of person anymore. They'll call you for as usual. Let's go smoke together. Oh, I don't smoke anymore. So when they are going, you have to be smart enough to know you wouldn't go along. When you are changing from a certain stage of your life, you should know that it's not everybody you can carry along with you up that ladder. They would have to have their own personal reinvention journey, which is none of your business, ultimately. So if in your reinvention journey, these people that are not meant to be with you at this level are trying to pull you down, know how to address that. Sift them out if you need to. Because if you are Alexa, if you've managed to do everything right to get to the point of Alexa, and you still have these people of funny characters, these people that remind you of your old lifestyle, these people that put you back into that space, they are going to gradually have an effect on you and bring you back to their level. It is very important that in this your reinvention journey, you sift out some people from your life, because if you tolerate them and you reach that Alexa level, they are going to drag your bum back. It's either they'll drag your bum back, or because of them you wouldn't even reach that level at all, because they will keep you in that space. They wouldn't enable you change the negative attitudes. If they are going to smoke, you also go and smoke with them, because after all, we are friends. We all do this together. You keep smoking with them, time that you should have been using to work out, time you should have been using to do something productive, because you are keeping these kind of people in your circle. And these are the things that these people do, and if you are part of them, you have to also do those things. So you wouldn't even have time to become the ideal you. That is why self-awareness is so important, because under that self-awareness stage, you are, if it's to write their names, write their names. You are sifting out, you are finding out the people that lead you into toxicity and cutting them out of your life gradually. Thank you for the time spent together, but not everybody is meant to go with me to every stage of my life. Some people are only for this stage, but when you reach this stage, it's a new circle. So that is that you've cut out those people out of your life. Are you going to remain friendless? No, you need to now circle yourself with like-minded individuals as Alexa. Because, like they say, iron sharpens iron. Hello? Iron sharpens iron. So, you will need people's help. Leave that independence shit. You will need people along the way. You will need help. But know where to get help from. That is why it's from what? Like-minded people. Some people even take a mentor overall. There are a lot of successful people we know that have mentors. Ali Abdal, very famous, successful YouTuber, he has a mentor. Right? So you can have mentors, but the point is have like-minded individuals in your circle that you are both pushing for this aim together. You are helping me, I'm helping you. You are sharpening them, they are sharpening you. Things that you don't know, you are learning from them. You're all learning from each other, right? This step alone, changing your circle of friends for the kind of people, for the circle of friends that your ideal persona will have alone, even if you didn't take anything at all from this video and you only even took that point, you are halfway there. Because the more of that kind of positive energy you consume from these people, the more you learn from these people, the more their ways gradually become your ways. Because like the famous philosopher once said, you are the sum of the 5 people you associate with. So the more these people become, their ways become your ways, you learn from them and what have you, it starts to change your identity. It actually starts to change your identity. And I've seen it firsthand so many times. When I was in school, I had a classmate, she changed her circle of friends to a new circle of friends. And when I tell you like magic, her grades just started to shoot up. 5th point on this I'd like to mention is draft this new identity. Okay, you're no longer Aliyah. That is internally, right? Obviously, in next year, yeah, you are Aliyah. But internally, you are no longer that Aliyah. You are now Alexa, right? In her spiritual life, how is Alexa in her spiritual life? How is Alexa in her finances? How is Alexa in her relationships? How is she where self-care is concerned? That is what I mean by draft this new identity. It can be that you want to change every single aspect, in which case you would have to write down all the aspects of your life. You write down your relationship, you write down finances, you write down spirituality, you write down self-care, education, or whatever, you name it, career, health. And write down the routines that Alexa will have under all these aspects of her life. So under finances, how is Alexa with her finances? Is she the type that has investments? Or is she the type that saves? Is she the type that has a business? Or is she the type that has a 9-to-5? Then career. What is her career? Is she a full-time influencer? Is she a businesswoman? Is she a lawyer? Is she a doctor? Like, what is her career? When we say career itself, this is your ideal person you want to be. If you are asked that, what would be your ideal career? That is what you write down there. Your ideal career. When it comes to health, what does their health life look like? Do they take supplements? Do they work out? Do they do Pilates? Do they lift weights? That kind of thing. You want to be very thorough in drafting this person's new identity, because this is the person you're trying to become. And the more thorough you are in drafting this person's new identity, the more effective your systems of achieving these habits are going to be. Once you write all of these things down, next is to take action. You're not, obviously, it's not meant to just decorate the pages of your book. You're writing them down so you know what to do, because the mind is meant for creating ideas, not storing them. So you're storing the ideas on paper, then you go by what you have written down. So what's next is to take action on these things. If under finances, you wrote that she's somebody that invests, have you put money together to put into an investment yet? Because remember that this is not this mystique idea you have that you are going to address sometime in the future. No, it's something you're working towards. So you are starting now. Don't think you have to wait till it's sunny. Wait till it's 6 o'clock exactly on the dot instead of 5:25. No, start immediately, because ultimately, regardless of whatever you do, time is going to fly. Would you rather time flies and over time you've reached this ideal potential, or at least you are 60% there. Or you'd rather time flies, which you can't control, and you still be at that same spot you were at. So start now rather than waiting to start later. Start now and figure things out as you go. You don't have to know everything from the onset. You don't have to know everything from the jump. You're still learning. So if she's somebody that saves as well, then start saving. Start putting money away. Have a system in place where you say that, okay, anytime that I receive my salary or anytime that I make a certain amount of money, I'm going to put 10% of that money away for savings. Something that your ideal self will do. You are starting to do these things now, so that you are closer to your 81 days mark when it will become a habit. So if under relationships, she's somebody that is dating, this successful, mature, responsible gentleman, then why are you still with that fuckboy who has so many red flags? Because ideally, you're trying to embody this person, you're trying to become this person now. So if the person you're currently with isn't giving the energy of the ideal person you want to be with, and for good reason enough you think you deserve better, then leave. It's not that simple, but make it simple. Time will heal your wounds. Then leave. That kind of thing. So essentially, you are starting, right? You are beginning your journey. You are taking your first steps. As the days go by, you continue in that line, till these actions become habit. The habit becomes your behavior, and the behavior overall forms your new persona. And you become this person. Over time, you achieve the great heights this person you are aiming for this person to achieve. You start making that amount of money you want this person to make. Because with these new actions and habits you are taking, aside it's making you a better person outside of financial gain or business achievements, right? The subsequent benefits will be that you are doing things that will make your business successful. So at the right time, your business will see that success. You are doing things that will make your health be great, right? So over time, you will see that health achievements, that kind of thing. So it builds you as a person, and it makes your projects also successful. So the main point here is to have this new identity, right? What they would have achieved, or their achievements under, let's say if it's career, write their achievements under their career. An achievement for you can be that in your business, you're currently making 200K a month, for example, right? You can write that as as Alexa's achievement. Then under the achievement, you're writing the steps you're going to put in place from today to make sure you get there. Because remember that you are not yet that person, and it's not overnight. It will take time. So with the time that it's taking, what are you doing in that time? How are you feeling that time? It's sort of like for actors in a movie role, right? When they're given a movie role, they learn it. They learn to become that person. They learn to embody that character. For some of them, overnight, because they have to play the role within a given period of time. But it's not a role you are going to play within a given period of time. It's somebody you want to become for the rest of your life. It will take you longer, but know that it's part of the journey. You will face challenges on the way, but know that the challenges are part of the journey. Speaking of challenges, have a system in place on how you check yourself should you feel the urge to revert. Because, like I mentioned earlier, it wouldn't be easy. You will have challenges. Those friends will still hit you up to go to the club at 9 p.m. every night. How are you going to address that? What are you going to tell them? Right? Or maybe even cut those friends out. Great. But outside of those friends, your own personal habits and idiosyncrasies that you've not fully gotten rid of yet will try to creep in. So how would you address these things when they come in? There are people that go all the way to, in holding themselves accountable, they go all the way to put money on the line. That if I do this thing, this amount of money is deducted from my account. And they know that they don't want that amount of money to be deducted, so they wouldn't do that thing at all. It keeps you grounded, right? It's extreme, but if you feel like you are the kind of person that will need that extra kind of effort, then by all means, apps like BeMinder to check habits, to check the actions you're undertaking, because it's the actions that will eventually lead to you becoming that person overall. So it's important that you check these actions. So have a system in place where you are holding yourself accountable to make sure that should you feel the urge to revert, there's something there to immediately stop you. Or even if you do revert, you can easily pull yourself back out of the gutter and continue in your stead. And mind you, if you make a couple of mistakes, like maybe you give yourself a very strict system that you were going to work out back to back to back to back to back 7 days a week, and you flop 3 days a week, forgive yourself. Learn to forgive yourself. It's not that deep. Those 3 days a week don't just cancel everything else you've been doing so far. So just lift yourself up and attempt to keep a steady streak. But don't just give up because, oh, I'm a failure, I didn't do it as I said I would. And finally, the final, very, very, very important point that is almost being slept on is to seek knowledge. In this very information-filled era we're in, it's funny how much knowledge is out there and how much ignorance is out there, essentially. That's what I'm saying. And the famous artist, Bob Marley, said it best. In the abundance of water, a fool is always thirsty. That's to show how much there are so many ways of acquiring knowledge now, and there's so much knowledge out there as compared to before, where you had to go to libraries and sort through several books of so many pages. Now everything is literally at the palm of your hand, but for some reason you are not grabbing the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is something that can turn your life around. It's something that can save an individual's life. Personally, having studied law, I've seen how much knowledge is power. I've seen instances where somebody could have made a hefty amount of life-changing money, but they missed out on that opportunity because they didn't know, because of ignorance. Knowledge is that one thing that separates a person who survived an attack because they knew self-defense from a person who died. Because the person who survived the attack had knowledge. So seek knowledge in everything. Sometimes it's what opens doors for you. You could have this conversation with a person, and just from the amount of knowledge you seemed to have on the subject, it opened doors for you. Okay, come to my office, and okay, blah, blah, blah. You get this new opportunity, kind of thing. So knowledge is power. Knowledge can separate you from the masses. It can separate you from the 99% and make you that outstanding 1%. And I'm not talking about being book smart or having IQ of thousands. No, it's having knowledge, right? I'm not talking intelligence per se. I'm talking being smart, right? And these are things that, okay, read books. I'm not much of a reader. I don't like reading. It'll be hard for me. Okay, then listen to audiobooks. Nah, listen to podcasts. No, okay, watch educative YouTube videos. Understand? Like, there's literally no excuse now because there are so many means. Emails will literally come into your inbox. Knowledge. So many means of acquiring knowledge, even on the social media apps. There are knowledgeable sites you can be following and gaining knowledge. So there really isn't any excuse. The only thing is that, or there may be plausible excuse, is the fact that as much as there's been an increment in knowledge in this generation, there has been an equal amount of distraction through social media and whatnot, and video games and so many different things. So that could be the excuse that they are at par. The amount of distractions and the amount of information is at par. That is why being able to hold yourself accountable is very important, because at the end of the day, if several years down the line you are not the ideal person you wanted to be, are you going to say that it was because there were so many distractions around me? Even if that's the case, you still did yourself. Who are you going to say that to? When you're struggling, when you're suffering, you should be able to hold yourself accountable in the midst of the distractions. You should be able to use the distractions as a means to relax, as a means to unwind, because all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So you should be able to use these distractions as a means of rest, but not to overthrow any form of knowledge seeking, because seeking knowledge does not end when you complete school. As a matter of fact, it should rather even start, because school knowledge book knowledge was specific to a certain field, a certain career. That period of life, all the knowledge or most of the knowledge you were accruing was very specific. But now is the time to open your eyes, to expose yourself to even more that's out there. And the more knowledge you accrue, the more value you have to offer. So the more valuable you are in a space you enter, in gatherings you enter, the more opportunities come your way. So seek knowledge. Even if it hasn't occurred to you that, oh, this new person I want to be is intelligent or is knowledgeable, now I've brought it to your attention. So put it down. Some of the things that you want to aspire to become: somebody who is knowledgeable, somebody that can have meaningful conversations. So my final point, which is a bonus. I know that I said the last time was a final point, but this is just a bonus for sticking around this long, right? For watching the video to the end. The bonus point is to journal. I repeat, journal. Most successful people journal. And I'm using most successful people as an example because the thing about journaling is the fact that it allows you to reflect. And being able to reflect on something you did is also power, because you know what you did wrong. The mind is meant for creating ideas, not storing them. So that idea you had in 2019, do you really think you still remember it in 2024 if you did not write it down? Right. So if you have all of these, your ideas and your thoughts and general happenings written down, you can easily go back and reflect. You can easily go back when you are in a better position, build on ideas. You can look back and see how far you've come. You can look back and even relive some memories. You can look back on what you did wrong and know how to move going forward, know how to correct those things. If you enter a new space and you journal, so you remember that when I was here, this is what I did wrong and it cost me this, you will know not to do that again. And just relieving the thoughts from your mind and putting them elsewhere. You're not journaling every single thing that happened in your day. You are really just journaling your thoughts, the things that are in your mind. You're putting them pen to paper. That brings me to the end of the video. I'd like to say a very warm thank you for staying till the end of it. And I'm very happy to respond to comments. I'm very happy to interact on this subject even more. So take it away in the comment section. As always, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you are notified when new content comes up, and engage on the other social media platforms as well. For now, later.